7 Super Bowls, 5 MVPs, the undisputed greatest of all time. It's a resume so dominant, it feels like it was written in stone, a story of inevitable glory. But the story of the GOAT doesn't start there. It starts with him, the 199th pick, a forgotten backup, a skinny kid from Michigan whose own scouting report read, "Poor build, lacks great physical stature and strength, lacks mobility and ability to avoid the rush, gets knocked down easily."
The greatest dynasty in the history of professional sports was never supposed to happen. It was a fluke, an accident born from a single moment of brutal, violent chance on an ordinary Sunday afternoon. It was all set in motion by a single hit that changed football forever.
To really get how improbable this all is, you have to go back to 2001. In the Kingdom of New England, there was one king, and his name was Drew Bledsoe. He was the first overall pick in 1993, the guy who resurrected a failing franchise. He was the face on every ticket, the arm that carried a region's hopes. And in March of that year, the Patriots made him the richest man in NFL history, signing him to a then-record 10-year, $103 million contract. He was the franchise. He was the present and the future.
And then there was Tom Brady. If Bledsoe was the king, Brady was a forgotten nobody. He was the 199th pick in the 2000 draft, the 7th quarterback taken. His now infamous NFL Combine photo tells you everything you need to know. A scrawny, unimpressive physique that inspired zero confidence. Scouts were brutal. One wrote he was awful. He's not even on my board. Another figured he was a career backup at best. His 40-yard dash was a plodding 5.28 seconds, slower than some defensive linemen.
In his rookie year, he was the 4th stringer, throwing a grand total of 3 passes and completing just 1. But there was this tiny flicker of something, a hint that only makes sense now. When the rookie met Patriots owner Robert Kraft for the first time, he looked the man who signed the checks in the eye and said, "I'm the best decision this organization has ever made." It was an insane level of confidence from a player no one believed in, but not even Brady could have dreamed up.
How his prophecy would come true. It would take an act of violence, a twist of fate, to give him his shot. September 23, 2001, Foxborough Stadium. It was week 2 of a season that had been put on pause, played in the long shadow of the 9/11 attacks just 12 days before. There was a heavy, somber mood in the air, a feeling that football was both completely trivial and somehow essential. On the field, it was just another divisional game. The New England Patriots were trailing their bitter rivals, the New York Jets, 10-3 late in the 4th quarter. Facing 3rd and 10, Drew Bledsoe dropped back. Seeing nothing, he did something he almost never did. He scrambled, tucking the ball and racing for the sideline, trying to will his team to a first down. He never saw Mo Lewis. The Jets linebacker, a 230-pound force of nature, lowered his shoulder and drove it straight into Bledsoe's chest. The sound of the collision was sickening. Tom Brady, watching from the sideline, would later call it the loudest hit I could ever remember hearing. It was a legal football play, but the impact was catastrophic. In a sign of the times and a testament to his own toughness, Bledsoe actually went back in for the next play, but he was disoriented and completely unaware of the life-threatening storm brewing inside him. After that series, he stumbled to the sideline, agitated and in pain. It wasn't until he was in the training room that the true severity became clear. Bledsoe wasn't just hurt.
The force of the hit had sheared a blood vessel in his chest, and his thoracic cavity was rapidly filling with blood.
He was rushed to Massachusetts General Hospital, where doctors would work to save his life. He had suffered a hemothorax and was in mortal danger. A team physician would later state, flat out, Drew could have died. Back at the stadium, as the Patriots lost to the Jets, a new quarterback jogged onto the field, a skinny kid, number 12. No one knew it, but the king had fallen, and an unknown heir was about to take his first steps toward the throne.
With Bledsoe out indefinitely, the keys to the $100 million franchise were thrown to the kid nobody wanted. The Patriots lost that game against the Jets, starting the season 0-2. Coach Bill Belichick tried to manage expectations, telling the media, "I don't think we're talking about John Elway here." What happened next wasn't some storybook explosion, it was a slow burn. Brady's first few starts were all about managing the game, not making the big mistake, and showing a surprising amount of poise. The team was built on defense and a good running game, but week by week, the unproven quarterback started showing flashes of the clutch leader he'd become. They won, and won again. An improbable streak started to build. This sparked the biggest sports debate in the country. As Bledsoe got healthier, the question was everywhere. Do you give the team back to your franchise quarterback, the man you just made the richest player in the league? Or do you stick with the hot hand, the 6th-round pick?
Who was suddenly 5'2" as a starter? It was a brutal decision, but for Bill Belichick, it might have been easier than anyone knew. According to the book, The Dynasty, Belichick had secretly wanted to start Brady from the beginning of the season, believing he'd outplayed Bledsoe in the preseason. The only thing stopping him was the PR nightmare of benching a healthy $103 million star. Now the injury gave Belichick all the cover he needed. In a move that felt like a massive gamble, he made his choice.
The Patriots' incredible run that season was a story of one man losing his job and another seizing the opportunity of a lifetime. What do you think is the biggest what-if moment in sports history? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more iconic sports stories.
But the story had one more unbelievable twist for Drew Bledsoe. In the AFC Championship game against the heavily favored Steelers in Pittsburgh, it was Brady's turn to get hurt. He went down with an ankle injury just before halftime, and off the bench came the former king, the man who'd been cast aside. In an incredible moment of professionalism, Bledsoe stepped onto the field and led the Patriots on a critical touchdown drive, ultimately sealing a 24-17 victory and a trip to the Super Bowl. He had lost his team, but he had just helped send them to the biggest game on earth. That set the stage for Super Bowl 36. The Patriots were massive 14-point underdogs to the St. Louis Rams and their explosive offense, the greatest show on turf. New England clawed and fought, forcing turnovers and playing masterful defense, leading to a 17-17 tie with just 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock. The Patriots got the ball on their own 17-yard line with no timeouts. The conventional wisdom,
voiced by the legendary John Madden on the broadcast, was to play it safe and run out the clock for overtime. But Belichick and his young quarterback had other ideas. What followed was the stuff of legend. With ice water in his veins, Brady coolly led the offense down the field. Short, precise passes, a completion here, another there, a 23-yard strike to Troy Brown. He methodically moved the Patriots into field goal range, spiking the ball with just 7 seconds left. Adam Vinatieri trotted onto the field for a 48-yard kick. The kick was up, and it was perfect.
As the ball sailed through the uprights and time expired, the New England Patriots were Super Bowl champions for the first time in franchise history.
The 199th pick, the skinny kid with the bad combine photo, was now a Super Bowl MVP. A dynasty was born.
What followed was 20 years of unprecedented dominance. 7 Super Bowl titles, 9 AFC championships with the Patriots, and a list of records that will never be broken. And it all goes back to that one moment on September 23rd, 2001. A moment of random brute physics. Bledsoe slides a second sooner. What if Mo moves a half step slower? History pivots in such razor-thin margins. The hit didn't just end the season on one day. It accidentally launched the career of the greatest to ever play the game. It wasn't just a hit that injured a quarterback. It was the hit that changed the entire landscape of the NFL.